Everyone panics when Mercury goes retrograde, a temporary planet moving backward in the sky for a few weeks. Almost nobody talks about what it means when a planet was retrograde the moment you were actually born, not passing through, but built into your foundation permanently. That's a natal retrograde, and depending on your exact birth time, you could be carrying one, two, or several. It's not a curse, and it's not the same panic-inducing thing as a transit retrograde. It's an inward-turned version of that planet's energy, something you were born processing internally instead of outwardly, and almost nobody ever explains what that actually means for how you move through the world. Here's the problem. If you have a natal retrograde and nobody ever told you, you spend years comparing your internal, delayed, second-guessing version of that planet's energy against everyone else's external, immediate version, and conclude you're just broken, slow, or somehow doing it wrong. A retrograde Mercury person rehearses conversations for hours before having them and assumes that's anxiety instead of just how their mind naturally processes communication. A retrograde Venus person takes months to know if they actually like someone and calls themselves commitment-phobic instead of naturally slow-loading. A retrograde Mars person's anger shows up hours or days after the moment that caused it, and they call themselves passive instead of recognizing a genuinely different processing speed. Left unexplained, you spend a lifetime trying to force yourself into the fast, external version other people seem to run on naturally, pushing through the rehearsal anxiety instead of honoring it, rushing romantic decisions you weren't actually ready to make, apologizing for delayed anger you didn't even know was still processing. The mismatch doesn't go away. It just gets quieter and more exhausting, because you're not accommodating a real internal mechanism. You're fighting it every single day and calling the resulting fatigue a personality problem instead of what it actually is. Comment the word retrograde below if you know you have one in your chart. And if you don't know yet, comment your birth date, and I'll tell you which planets, if any, were retrograde the moment you were born. The fix starts with locating which planet, if any, was retrograde at your birth, and treating its behavior as a feature, not a delay to apologize for. A retrograde Mercury needs rehearsal time built in on purpose. Write the email, sit on it, send it tomorrow, instead of forcing live improvisation you were never wired for. A retrograde Venus needs permission to take the slow read on relationships seriously instead of rushing to match someone else's faster timeline. A retrograde Mars needs a delay ritual for anger, naming it hours later instead of assuming the silence in the moment meant nothing was there. Then stop measuring your timeline against people without your placement. Build in the buffer your retrograde planet actually needs. A full day before responding to anything that stirred your Mercury. A season before labeling a new relationship with your Venus. A private outlet for the delayed hit of a retrograde Mars, instead of expecting it to resolve on someone else's schedule. The goal isn't speeding up. It's finally building a life that matches the actual processing speed you were born with. A man I'll call Theo had a natal Mercury retrograde and had spent 15 years assuming he was just bad at thinking on his feet, watching colleagues respond instantly in meetings while his best ideas arrived that night in the shower, too late to matter. Once he learned what retrograde Mercury actually meant, he stopped trying to compete live. He started following up meetings with a written note the next morning instead, the same sharp thinking, just on his actual timeline. Within a few months, people started calling his follow-ups the most useful part of any meeting. Theo didn't get faster. He stopped needing to be. Once he built his actual process around a timeline that matched his chart instead of against it, the thing he'd spent 15 years calling a weakness quietly became the reason people trusted his judgment. If this just explained a pattern you'd been calling slow, anxious, or commitment-phobic, like this video, comment your birth date, and I'll tell you which planets were retrograde the moment you were born. This is Shadow Work, the series that names the instinct underneath the personality, not just the traits everyone already knows. Subscribe if today's episode explained a pattern you've been quietly mistaking for a flaw instead of a different timeline.